Game over. Game over. Lights out. You've just been completely obliterated publicly.
Cool.
With your wait, you've been caught. You've been folded like a chair, caught with your pants down.
With the Allegiant.
With regard to theology, right, which was my first discussion with Brenda, I can see where if Silver Star puts a position out there and someone like a, let's say, Eddie Brutefax, right? I could definitely see atheists going, yeah, I agree with Eddie. I could definitely completely
It's
reject it.
conceivable.
Which was my first discussion with Brenda. I can see where if Silver Star puts a position out there and someone like a, let's say, Eddie Brutefax, right? I could definitely see atheists going, yeah, I agree with Eddie. I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, what you regard as placating atheists to an informed Christian is just making sure that they don't see this embarrassing view that's like contradictory as what the Christian position actually is, right? Is that possible?
Yeah, that's your narrative.
Yeah,
I completely
it's
reject it.
conceivable. John Lee, if it's conceivable that God doesn't exist, then it follows that God wouldn't exist, right?
If God doesn't exist, he wouldn't exist. I don't even know what that means, to be honest.
It's the reversed, what is that, the reversed ontological.
If it's possible that a metaphysically necessary being doesn't exist, then necessarily a metaphysically necessary being doesn't exist.
Oh, I think I know what you're saying. Yeah, I probably agree with that.
What?
Okay, so
Do you agree? Okay.
okay, so
Case
there you go.
closed.
There you go, everyone.
Well, I'm kind of upset actually. I don't really want John.
I just don't accept. I just don't agree with your premise, is all. But
Oh, you don't agree?
Which premise?
You don't agree that
no,
atheism?
your
You don't.
syllogism's valid.
You
That's what
don't.
I'm acknowledging.
Wait, but you don't agree that atheism is conceivable?
Now you talked about God. Now you want to throw the word atheism in there? I don't know what relevance atheism has
Is it
anything to do
conceivable?
with your previous syllogism. All I agreed with is the validity of your syllogism.
Is it conceivable that God doesn't exist?
Not for me,
Why?
because I don't
What?
see it. I don't see it as possible.
Yeah, but why?
He always thinks this like not
Why?
for me thing is gonna get him the problems.
What about atheism is a priori inconceivable, right? Or what Chalmers calls prima facie inconceivable. Like, what about atheism is impossible? I don't get it.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I wouldn't even say that atheists um, find it inconceivable. There are those who claim lack of conception, maybe, right? And that's just my position.
What?
That's not an argument
I
against the.
don't
I'm
understand.
not trying to make
What
an
did he
argument.
say?
I don't know. I don't even know what you're trying to say. You
Yeah,
think
it's
you
What
not a
did
think
he even
rebuttal.
say?
Yeah, but
you
it's
think
not
you
a
think you're
rebuttal
making
to.
an argument, or
It
that
is
I'm
an
making
argument.
an argument? I just agreed with the validity of your statement when you first
Okay, so you
started speaking.
disagree. So what rule of inference was applied in the argument, and why
No,
is that a faulty?
no. What I said
I
was
mean, use the term
I found
validity.
your statement, your
No,
syllogism, to be
sorry,
valid.
sorry,
That's all
sorry,
I'm acknowledging.
sorry. You said that wasn't valid, so I'm asking you
No,
in
I said
virtue
it
of what
was
was
valid.
valid.
I said it was valid.
He
Okay.
did say it was valid. Then he said
Then he said,
more
I
recently
don't
that it wasn't
agree.
valid, but
Yeah.
I think he misspoke. But
No, I don't.
what's the problem
Okay.
with it then, John Lee? Do you have a problem with one of the premises?
Yes, I don't agree with the premises. That's what the issue is.
Yeah, which premise? Which
Number
premise you want to start
one,
with? Which is what?
which is about conceivability.
Oh, so you
Okay,
disagree
what's wrong with it?
that conceivability entails possibility?
No, I didn't say that either.
Okay, what
You're a
premise
fucking
do you disagree with?
slug, John Lee.
Well,
What premise
what's wrong
do
with
you agree with?
premise one then?
I agree that conceivability implies possibility, right? That's not what I'm arguing
So
at
you're
all.
denying
Well,
that
you
I'm
said
saying that
premise one.
I'm saying that all minds have a conceivability of God, as I understand it. That's what I don't. I
What
reject
denying.
the
the
fuck?
proposition
Yeah, but
that
you're denying. You're denying.
any mind
Yeah, but
does
look.
not
You're
conceive of
denying.
God.
You're denying that atheism is conceivable, right? In the sense that it's prima facie conceivable, right? But I just want to know why you think it's a priori. Um, but it's
Yeah.
just
Here's what
that
the
atheism. Look, under your view, atheism is analytically false,
you
right?
keep talking
But
about
I'm asking, like, why?
atheism. I'm not talking about atheism, okay? I'm talking about
Atheism is
I'm
the view
talking
that
about
God doesn't
atheists.
exist. We were saying
Atheists,
that's conceivable.
okay? Because
Sorry. I'm saying
atheism
that's
is not a
conceivable
person. It does not
that God does
conceive.
not exist. Look,
What?
I'm saying that. How does that address
You keep
anything?
talking about conception. Atheism
What's
does not conceive. Okay?
just address the
Atheists
argument, John
conceive.
Lee? What's
And
the
so I'm
what
talking about
premises?
atheists.
What
I
What?
premise
don't
are
agree
you
with the
at?
What?
proposition that there are
Do you think
atheists
that atheist? Look,
that
shut
lack
up. Look,
He
conception.
doesn't even remember the argument at this
shut,
point.
shut, shut up, John Lee. I'm asking you, since you deny the second premise that it's
The first
conceivable
premise.
that God exists. So yeah, so since you deny that it's conceivable that atheism is true, I just want to know like why atheism is
There you
analytically
go
false under
again. You
your view.
keep saying atheism. I don't even think you're listening to what I'm saying. Talk about atheists.
He's listening to what you're saying, you
What
piece
is
of
it?
shit.
It's not the proposition God does not exist. The second premise says that it's conceivable that God does not exist, which is which is semantically equivalent to saying that's conceivable that atheism is true, right? If you deny that, then I just want to hear what your rationale is, right, for denying that. Like, what about atheism is analytically false?
It's not a matter of whether atheism is analytically false.
Oh my,
It's a matter of
deny.
conception. I reject the proposition
If you're
that there
denying
are minds. I
conceivable, then
reject the
presumably you think
proposition. Are you going to let me
false.
finish? I reject the proposition that there are human minds which conceive of no God.
Okay, and I'm asking you for an argument for why you think that's impossible, right?
Oh
Like
well,
given a direct.
the objection would be based upon what Scripture claims. I accept the proposition of what Scripture claims.
I don't care what you accept or reject. I'm asking you why you think atheism is inconceivable.
I didn't say atheism per
Oh
se is
my God!
inconceivable.
That's just.
I'm saying that I reject the proposition that atheists do not conceive of a God. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, on what grounds do you reject that?
The Bible.
Oh my God.
Saint, I have a
Are
friend
you
who
gonna
has a
Are you
clinic.
gonna demonstrate that atheists conceive of no God? Is that your claim?
Yeah, I'm conceiving of no God existing right now.
Yeah, and I reject that
Um,
claim.
Yeah, but you
Darth
reject that.
Arianus.
You reject the claim by begging the question,
You're the one
by
begging the
just saying
question.
it's
Yeah.
You're the
inconceivable.
one making the
Wait,
claim and begging the question that it's true.
I don't see how saying that in virtue of the fact that atheism is conceivable, and that therefore it's possible that
When
that's begging the
when
question.
you
How's that
say that you conceive of no God existing, I
fucking
don't believe you. I
the
don't even believe
conclusion?
that claim.
The conclusion. Sorry, the conclusion is God does not exist. That premise isn't semantically equivalent to saying that's conceivable that God does not exist. How is that begging the
When
question?
you say that you
You just got
conceive of God not existing, I
folded.
don't
You
believe
just got
you.
folded. You just got folded because you don't even know what begging the question is. When
Wait, is
someone
it
begs the
Detroiter?
question, yeah, it is Detroiter. When I say
that something begs the question. I'm saying that it's assuming that the conclusion of the argument is true, but the conclusion of
That's
the
what I'm
argument
saying.
is
The
God does not.
conclusion. Wait, the
Shut
conclusion
up,
is your
while
premise.
you see. This is what you always
You're
do.
begging the question of your premise.
Shut
Is
up.
what I'm saying.
If someone can
That
mute,
conclusion,
if someone
right?
gonna,
The
if someone
conclusion
can
for
mute
your
this,
premise, not the conclusion of your subjective argument.
if someone gonna shut up, John Lee. The conclusion is God does not exist. The
No, that's
second
not the
premise
conclusion
says
I'm
it's
talking about.
conceivable.
That's not the
Shut
conclusion I'm
up. You
talking
see,
about.
you keep interrupting me. You
That's
keep
not what I'm
interrupting me.
saying.
It's
I'm saying you're begging the
look.
question of one of your premises.
The
Is
second
what I'm saying.
premise. The second premise. It says that it's conceivable that God does not fucking exist. The conclusion is God does not exist. Those aren't semantically equivalent, you dumbass.
I'm
How is it
saying
begging the question?
that you're begging the question of your premise, the conclusion of your premise,
A
not
premise alone
the
can beg the
syllogism of
question.
your premises
What the
that
fuck
God
is
does
wrong
not
with you?
exist. I'm not
Oh
saying
my
you're
god.
begging the question that God does not exist. I'm
You know
saying
what
that you're
begging the
begging the
question?
question of you as a person who identifies as atheist is conceiving of God not existing. That's what I'm
Oh yeah,
objecting to.
because if I have access to my mental states and I'm fucking imagining a world that God doesn't
Yeah, I
exist,
don't
that's
believe you.
somehow
I don't believe you imagine such a
assuming
world.
that the conclusion is.
I
But who
don't
cares if you
believe that you
fucking
imagine
believe
such
me?
a world.
Is it prima facie conceivable that God does not exist?
I'm
Which is just to say
I'm
that there's no
saying that I don't
logical.
believe that you
Sorry,
conceive of such a world.
sorry. I'm not done talking.
You're getting
Just shut
triggered.
up.
Look at you.
Shut
You're
up.
so
What?
triggered without a
What?
green
Shut
bean.
up. Shut up. Look, if I say that there's if atheism is conceivable, I'm saying that there's no logical contradiction
Atheism doesn't
in possible
conceive.
world that God does not exist. I'm the atheist here conceiving it, dumbass. I'm saying
You
that
just
it's
claim to. You're begging the question that
I'm saying that can you shut your
you're
fucking
begging the
mouth?
question that you
Can you shut
do.
your mouth? I'm gonna shut this idiot's mouth.
You actually sound like you're turning into Jack.
He is. He's his
Exactly
acolyte.
what I was about to say.
It's
Exactly.
like
Well,
Can
he's
someone
like
shut
the
their
he's
words
cutting
mouth?
his
themselves,
That
mouth.
was a good
the
comment.
intonation, the
The
actual voice. It's
cadence.
like
Can you
it's
mute
uncanny.
this
It's
guy?
Shut up,
It's
shut
uncanny.
up,
actually
shut up,
It's
shut
a
funny.
up, shut up, shut up, shut
conceivability.
up.
It's a conceivability argument against theism, right? And conceivability arguments are very popular by themselves anyway. This guy just said that, oh, I just deny that atheists can conceive God. Well, on what grounds?
That's
Oh, the
correct.
Bible.
No,
Great.
you're the
How does
one.
the Bible?
Hang on.
Wait, shut up.
You're the one
I
claiming that
restart.
atheists
Talk.
conceive. You
When I
made the
talk, you
example for yourself,
sorry,
right? You
sorry,
haven't established
sorry,
that
Charlie,
anyone,
sorry,
including
sorry.
yourself,
Can,
conceives.
can you shut your fucking? Can
That's
you
what
shut
you're
your fucking
claiming.
mouth?
You have not
Can you shut your
established that
fucking? Can
anyone,
you shut your
including
fucking
All right,
yourself,
can
mouth?
we go one at a time here?
When you
conceives
say,
of no
This is
can
God.
just a
you
little.
shut your
It's
mouth?
hard to listen to.
Can you shut?
Well,
Look,
one of
when
the problems
I
is you keep
when I
cutting
say
out.
sorry,
Oh dear.
sorry, when I say that it's prima facie conceivable that God does not exist, there's a criterion for that. Number one, I can imagine a world where God does not exist. Number two, it's devoid of any contradiction to say God does not exist. Now you are saying that you deny that I can conceive of a world that God
That's
does not exist
correct. That's correct.
because of the Bible. Okay, great. How does any biblical claim establish that the mental states that I have right now is devoid of conceiving of a world where God does not exist? Show me the verse where it says that Saint Grande cannot conceive of a world where God does not exist. Can you do that for me?
You're not understanding. I reject it on the basis of the Bible. However, you have
Who
failed to establish.
Look,
You have failed. You're cutting me
The
off
Bible is
again.
going to
You're cutting
claim.
me off again.
The Bible
Yeah.
is going to claim
So once
that
again,
God
listen.
exists.
You're so triggered you
That's the
can't
very
even let me speak.
contention with the premise. The very
Once
thing in
again.
contention. The
Once
very
again.
thing in contention.
I mean, I don't know
I'm
why
not going
you're
to let
letting
you
this
talk.
moron speak.
This isn't relevant.
You just cut me off.
No, you keep cutting
I
off.
would demand that
You keep saying,
the mods
you
mute you.
keep saying,
You're the ones
you keep
cutting people
saying,
off.
holy shit. You keep
Okay,
saying that the
so
Bible. You keep saying that the
You're not
Bible,
even letting
right,
me finish.
Can
is
somebody
heaven.
mute the
I'm
guy who's
gonna let you
interrupting the
finish.
warrior?
You
barely
already made
spoke
the
one
point.
sentence and you're triggered already.
Look,
okay.
look,
Listen, I
look.
let you speak. I
If
didn't
you say
interrupt
the
you.
Bible,
As soon as
if
I
you say the
responded,
You
Bible,
have
if
listen to
you say,
yourself.
I'm not
Modal
gonna.
up.
No.
Just
When you say that the Bible is your grounds for
You didn't
rejecting
even
that
let me
atheism
finish
is
speaking.
conceivable,
I'm not
the
appealing to the
Bible,
Bible.
the Bible is the
I'm
Bible, imbecile. It's gonna make the claim that
unbelievable.
God exists. and the argument
No,
contends
you're
the
not
existence
even
of
letting me
God.
It's
finish.
unbelievable, man.
You didn't even let me finish.
It is
What I
truly
am saying,
unbelievable.
Darth, if you let me finish, is simply that you're the one claiming that you're conceiving of no God existing. I lack that belief in that claim. I reject it as a presupposition. I reject it as a premise. And so if
Yeah,
you're going to use it as
you
a premise, hang
rejected
on.
it's
If you're going to use
we
it
have
as a
no
premise,
argument. You said that you said
listen,
you
you're
reject
cutting me
sorry,
off again. You're
sorry,
cutting me
sorry,
off
sorry,
again, Darth.
sorry.
Why are you over
Off
talking me? Why
Oh,
are these
Darth,
mods even
Look,
allowing you
Come
to
on,
over
guys,
talk
for
me?
fuck's sake.
your
No,
sound,
sir.
Darth, is terrible. You're cutting out shitloads. So maybe
Yeah,
find
but
somewhere
not
with
only
better
so, he's
reception.
interrupting me. So what I'm trying to say is
look,
that you're begging the
you're
question that
big fucking
you're
listen,
conceiving of a
listen,
world
you
where
fucking
there is
son
no God. I
of
reject
garbage.
the
Look,
proposition
I don't
that
care
you
if
have
you
that you
Just
are
wait till he's
conceiving
done.
of such a thing. The
I
mere fact
look,
that you claim that you are and
look,
that others in this world
Johnny,
do as
shut the
well
fuck
is
up.
not supported
Is someone
whatsoever
gonna
other
shut
than a
him up?
basis claim that you.
Look, if you say that you are going to reject the conceivability argument on the premise that the Bible is fucking
That is
true,
not my
well, obviously
premise.
the
See, now you're
Bible is gonna.
misrepresenting me.
Sorry. The Bible is gonna fucking say that God exists, you fucking
I
idiot. And
never
the
mentioned
argument
the
is
Bible as
the existence of God.
unbelievable.
Can someone shut his useless mouth up, right? When I say that this argument is trying to establish the possibility of God, which is just a metaphysically necessary being, not existing, it's just saying that there's at least some set of possible worlds, right, in nature that God does not exist in. And so you to say, well, that's not true because atheists actually can't conceive of a world where God does not exist because of the Bible, right? You're already coming with a presupposition which the atheist just finds gobbledygook and they're just going to reject it. I just don't understand, right? Who gives a shit what the Bible says,
Yeah.
right?
Are you done?
Sorry,
Are you done misrepresenting me?
I have to do. Sorry, I'm not done talking, right? What you need to do is to show that's inconceivable to say that God does not fucking exist. Do you understand that?
Are you done? Okay, so you falsely attributed my objection to the Bible, right? The Bible is not what I'm objecting to. My objection is that you have not established in your syllogism that there are minds,
Oh my
human minds,
God! Look,
that
I
conceive of
just
no
said,
God. You have not
look,
established. You
I just
merely
said, look,
claim. There you go into
it's
triggers.
my
Are
mind.
you going?
All I need is
Listen. Are
my
you going to allow this, moderators? Now,
Oh,
it is a
sounds like
case, Darth,
sniffling.
that
You
you have
bring up
claimed that
irrelevant
there are
garbage.
minds. You have claimed that there are minds which conceive of no. Right.
The
This is
argument
your
doesn't
claim.
say there are
I
minds.
reject. I
The,
reject that
the
proposition. Then,
oh
hang
my
on.
God,
Then you appeal
John Lee,
to
you are the
yourself.
biggest idiot
Then you
on
appeal to
Clubhouse.
yourself
You're the
as a
biggest idiot
person.
of all
Dude, you
time.
keep
Right?
interrupting me.
This is the new low. I don't care. I'll keep
Are you
interrupting.
guys gonna allow this?
I'll keep
How many
interrupting
times
you.
has
I
he
think I
interrupted?
was
I
really
didn't interrupt
to
him.
interrupt you.
I
Now
asked him
let
if he
me
was
speak.
finished even. I asked you if you were finished. You said yes.
You're
So I
fucking
responded.
droning. You're fucking
Okay.
droning.
So
That
now, your claim, I'm almost finished. Your claim has not been supported in any
Yes,
manner
it's
to your
supported. It's
syllogism. I'm
supported.
objecting to it.
It's
So hang
supported
on. There you
because
go
number one, I
again.
can't
Okay.
live in that world,
So
and
in other
number
words, you
two,
have not
it's devoid of
established it.
contradiction.
Listen, you're not even letting me finish. What you
uh,
have done essentially is you're claiming that you yourself conceive of no God. You have
Yeah,
not established that. You're just begging the question
it's not
that
begging the
is true.
look,
Then you
retard,
appeal to
Kyle,
other
Yeah, what's
people.
the begging the
retard.
question, John?
what's
He's
begging
begging
the
the
question?
question. He's begging the question.
What's begging the question?
Indeed, as a person, as a human mind conceives that
Are you
there's no
gonna
God.
are
What?
That's
you
what
gonna
he's begging the
answer my
What?
question of.
fucking are you gonna answer my fucking question or not? What does it mean for something to beg the question?
It's to assume that the premise is true in your
The
conclusion, in the
it's
sense
assuming
that
that the
the
conclusion is true, not
conclusion,
the
the
premise. You fucking
conclusion,
idiot.
Listen,
Yeah,
listen. I
vice
conceive
versa.
of no gods, therefore there are minds that do not conceive of
The
God.
conclusion is
That's
assumed
you're
in one of
begging the
your
question.
premises.
Your premise assumes that it's true. That's begging the
That's
question.
right.
Oh,
Once
so if I
again
give a fucking argument,
he's
sorry.
saying that I am a
If I
mind that
give a
conceives
fucking
of no
argument,
God,
if I give a
therefore I am a
fucking
mind that
if I
conceives of
give
no
a
God,
fucking
therefore there
argument,
is no
if I
mind
get, if I
that conceive of
is
God.
someone gonna shut this
Or there
waste
are
of
minds that
fucking
do not
human
conceive of
face
God.
up? Holy
That's what he's
shit!
begging the question.
Look, begging the question is when you assume that the conclusion is true. The conclusion of the argument is God does not
No, I'm
exist.
not
The
talking about that
premise that
conclusion.
the
I'm talking about your
shut the fuck
premise.
up. You haven't given
Shut
an
up.
argument. What fucking conclusion? You haven't given an argument, you sack of
I'm not
fucking
saying you're
potato
begging the
salad.
question that God does not
Look,
exist. That's not what
potato
I'm saying.
salad. Potato salad. I'm saying that's conceivable that God does not exist. That isn't the same
No,
thing
I
as saying
reject
God
that
does not
premise.
exist.
I don't think it's conceivable. Where do you get that idea?
Why don't you think it's conceivable?
It's not a question of why don't I think it's conceivable. The question is why do you
Yes,
think
it
it's
is the fucking
conceivable?
Holy
question.
shit,
Okay? Because you're the one claiming it's conceivable. I reject that. I completely reject that.
Yeah, and you can't
John
motivate
Lee,
that without appealing to the fucking Bible.
John Lee,
My point is
you just deserve
the
to get
only thing
fucked
that you
by
have
an elephant.
is the only
Point.
point that you have is conceivable because I conceive it. You beg the question.
Look, I'm just hoping that an elephant fucks you eternally, right? And you cry in pain. I'm saying that God does not fucking exist. That's the conclusion. The premise is it's conceivable that God does not exist. How are those two things semantically
I don't
equivalent?
agree it's
Fucking
conceivable. I don't agree it's
who
conceivable.
cares?
John's
You
saying
Doesn't
don't
that you
agree
haven't
matter.
made an
with. I
argument for
don't
how it is
agree that you're an
conceivable.
Thank
intelligent
you,
person.
Bina.
Now give a
Could you
fucking
repeat that,
argument.
Bina, for everybody? Could you repeat that? Because she
Yeah, but
gets
hold on,
it.
John. That's not begging the question. That's just raising the question. You're asking him to provide a justification for P1. But his syllogism doesn't actually beg the
Show
question
me why it's
logically.
No,
You're
no.
just saying,
I'm not saying that he's
inconceivable.
begging the
Show
question
me
of the
why it's
syllogism.
inconceivable.
I'm saying that he's begging the question of his premise in a sense that he's
Show me
concluding
the
a
fuck.
premise
Show me how it's
that is
fucking.
not that
Show me how it's
that is
fucking
that he's
inconceivable.
begging the question of.
Show me how it's not begging the fucking question. This is what you people always do. That you just come up with these
You're just stuck.
terms,
You're just
right?
stuck
Begging
on
the
what I'm
question.
saying. You're not
Begging the
even listening to
question.
what I'm saying.
When we
You
ask
have
you,
not
are you gonna shut
justified your
the fuck up
premise. How
when I'm
about that?
talking?
yeah,
Are
but
you
Is
gonna
John,
that
his
shut
better
the
for?
fuck up when
conclusion.
I'm talking? You piece of garbage. When
Yeah,
I
go on.
tell you, that something begs the question, what's required for that to beg the question is that the premise two within the argument would have to be semantically equivalent with the conclusion. They're not. So, in virtue of modus tollens, the argument doesn't beg the question. Okay?
I'm not saying your argument begs the question. I'm saying
Period. You just
your
said that!
premise your
No,
premise is
this is
being
what
begged.
John's saying,
Premises
right?
cannot beg the
John's
Let me
saying,
question.
reword it.
no,
Premises
Okay,
cannot
John's
beg
because
the
confusing.
Bina
question.
Yeah, John, you're
because
confusing beg
Bina
the question with
understood what I
raise
was
the
saying.
question.
Okay,
Yeah, but you're
and so
confusing beg the question with raise the question. That's what I was saying, right? You're just saying P1, you're after a justification for P1. It's
I
not that
am.
the syllogism
I'm
begs the
asking him
question. You're,
justification for P1. Exactly.
yeah, that's that's raising
Okay,
the question.
okay. How
That's just to
about
say,
this?
yeah, what's the
Okay,
justification for
you're
that? That's not
raising the
begging the question.
question. How about that? Okay.
Yeah,
In any case, you haven't provided justification. You're
Yeah,
actually
guess what,
asking me to
retard?
provide.
Raising the
You're
question.
actually
Look,
asking
yeah,
me
I
to
have
provide.
provided. I have provided because
No,
it's
you have
devoid
not.
of any contradiction.
You have
Things
not.
that are devoid of any contradiction are conceivable. Okay? Now, if you say that it's devoid of a contradiction, show the contradiction because that's the criterion required for the proposition to be conceivable.
I,
So
I,
what is it?
you're saying that you have
What is
established
it?
that it's
You fucking idiot.
conceivable.
What
Is
is
that what
it?
you're saying?
What is it? This is your moment. What is it?
Because you're the one that claimed I
I
conceive it,
don't care
therefore it's
about me. This is
conceivable. That's what
about
you said.
you. What's the
That's what you
contradiction?
said.
What's it?
You said I
I
conceive of there being no God, therefore it's conceivable. Is what you said.
Alright, alright.
What is it?
And
If you
I
What's the
reject that you
contradiction?
conceive. I
you don't
reject
have
that you
to
conceive there's no
go
God.
Doesn't matter
premature.
what you reject. Unless there's a contradiction, it doesn't matter. You're
He
just
didn't
rejecting it for no
establish
reason.
that.
Who cares
He
what
doesn't
you can
have to
reject?
establish
Or not?
it.
Just because you reject it doesn't mean that the argument is unsound. I want a fucking argument for why you reject it.
I don't need an argument. You haven't established an argument
I
to
have
justify
established.
it.
How many times have I given you the fucking criterion for
Yeah,
why it's
I
conceivable?
conceive it, therefore it's conceivable. That's your argument.
No,
No,
retard.
it's
It
No, in the
conceivable if
absence
it
of a
doesn't
no,
entail a
contradiction.
contradiction. Yeah,
no, dumbass.
exactly.
If it's conceivable, then it's possible. Not if it's
Yeah,
conceivable, then it's conceivable. You're a
yeah.
clown. You're a literal clown. I don't know
If
why
it's
people want to
conceivable, hang
listen
on.
to you for 10 fucking
How
hours.
have you established it's conceivable?
It doesn't entail a
Yeah, this
contradiction.
guy is just utter. This guy is
How
just.
have
I
you
mean,
established it's conceivable?
I just gave you the fucking criterion 6 fucking times. Now, if you're too stupid to understand what the criterion is for conceivability, that's fine, right? But just say I'm fucking stupid, right?
John, is a square circle conceivable?
No, it's not.
So what's the criteria that it's not conceivable?
Contradiction.
So it's
So what's
impossible.
the contradiction in I conceive that God doesn't exist?
What's the contradiction in I can conceive of God does not exist?
That's correct.
Where's the conceivability there?
Uh,
Where's the conceivability?
the concept
That's
of
correct.
God not
What do you mean,
existing.
where is the conceivability? The conceivability isn't
Is that
located
your ass?
anywhere.
Is it in America or?
Where's the square circle exist? It's the same as saying God does not exist. These concepts, are they conceivable or not conceivable?
Yeah, I mean the fact that
The
you're trying to say that
conceivability exists in the lack of contradiction. Do you understand now?
so you're claiming that there's no contradiction.
That's correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Duh.
Obviously, you fucking retard. So what's the contradiction? Congratulations, it's conceivable. You just wasted everybody's fucking time.
Yeah,
Well, motivate the premise
I don't
that it's
agree.
conceived, that something is fucking conceivable, something
Yeah,
that's
I don't
obviously
agree.
fucking conceivable.
I don't
Doesn't
agree that there's no
matter. Doesn't matter.
contradiction.
Hey, stop yelling.
Yeah, I don't agree that there's no contradiction.
Doesn't matter whether you agree. Unless you can show the contradiction, then you just give up. You just lose. Fucking retard.
I mean,
Jesus Christ.
to me, it's
John
something.
Lee, you've
It's
just been completely obliterated publicly, folded
no,
like a
you're
chair caught with
no.
a
It's
down.
like you're presupposing there's no contradiction.
No, look.
Well, there doesn't
What?
seem to be an obvious contradiction. I think you're just saying because you hold to the God worldview that
God is not
even though
logically necessary, right? Therefore, it's
you
logically
can't find
possible that God doesn't exist. If it's logically possible that God doesn't exist, then it's necessarily conceivable that God doesn't exist.
I don't think it's logically possible that God doesn't exist. Where do you get that?
Because God existing isn't a theorem of logic, because there's no
I mean,
contradiction in
I
saying
mean,
God does not exist. What's the
I
contradiction?
mean, from what I'm hearing, there's an impossibility of the contrary.
God is not a squared circle. God is not an unmarried bachelor. God isn't a.
That's not analogous.
This guy. I'm on a fucking cruise ship and I want to just throw him like in the ocean, but warn the fish, right? And all the clams and corals down there, right? John Lee is about to enter the fucking ocean. Holy shit! We gotta pull
Yeah,
in.
you're done, John.
We gotta pull in Osama on John. Just
No, sir.
throw him across the Atlantic.
No.
I'm really surprised he chose to
Yeah.
start. He answered that question
Yeah.
about the squared circle with Benna because that was the exact wrong time to start answering questions. Right?
with regard to your syllogism, Darth, I acknowledge it's valid, right? I
Yeah,
just
nobody
don't
gives
agree
a
with your
shit.
premise.
Nobody gives a shit. Just shut
And
up.
you
You're
and you
done.
you haven't established
You're
your
done.
valid
Yes, he did.
you
I
haven't
Yeah,
just
you're
established
done.
the
established it to
validity.
you. You're done. Shut
You're
up.
done.
You couldn't.
Game
Claims
over.
of
God, the existence of
contradiction,
God is
Over.
not logically necessary.
claims
Therefore, the
claims
non-existence of God is conceivable. Unless you can point out a
claims of lack
contradiction in that fucking statement,
claims of
then just
lacking
then just
contradiction
fucking
does not
over it. No,
establish
not claims of lacking
contradiction.
contradiction. It's not just a claim of lacking contradiction. It's a demonstration that there is no violation of any rule of inference. There's nothing that you can
What?
say.
Yeah, let's move on. This guy's just too illiterate to talk to him. And any other
Because
theist,
here's the thing.
uh,
Here's the thing.
any
It's
other, no,
no.
we're
Here's
done.
the thing.
We're done. We're done.
No.
We're
Here's
done.
the thing. Your
Right?
argument is so stupid. You can use your own syllogism and
Any other
substitute.
theist wants
You
to
can
defend
conceive of there being a God.
why the
Could you
second
not?
premise is false. No,
You
you're
can
done.
conceive of
You're
there being a
salty
God.
right
Therefore, God
now.
exists.
Salty because
That's
when you
how
were
stupid your
asked why
John,
argument
it
this
was
is.
is
inconceivable, when you were
Done.
asked why,
You're fucking done.
sorry, when you
John, this
were
is
asked,
Hume's argument,
So,
right? It's not Duff's argument.
hey, so in
If you're
your
So
going to argue
nothing.
against
Shut
Hume,
up.
in your syllogism,
No, stop. Well, look, we
yeah,
don't want to hear
you
it.
can hang
We
on.
don't want to
Let me
hear
give
the
you my
commentary.
syllogism.
You have
Let
no
me give you a
syllogism.
syllogism.
Jesus Christ.
this guy is just the penultimate troll, right? There just really just doesn't come to, you couldn't really.
Who let the Troyer in here?
We're done. We're done.
Yeah.
Game over.
Yeah, I just
Game over.
substituted a
Lifestyle.
syllogism
You've just been
where the conclusion
completely
is God exists. You want to
obliterated
pretend it's sound?
publicly with
Cool.
your
That's what
you
you're doing.
caught. You've been
I
folded like a
acknowledge it's
chair,
valid.
caught with your
I can
pants
conceive
down.
of God existing in the absence of a contradiction. Therefore, God is possible. Therefore, God exists. I mean, look at your lame argument in reverse.
Yeah, but if you're saying that it works, the argument goes through, then in the other way
I
you're
said it's
also saying it
valid,
goes
but
through.
you haven't established soundness as my point. He is. I need to
Establish
substantiate the
soundness of my
premises,
point.
right? I need to establish the conceivability of God existing, right? Darth Arianus has to establish
Actually, it
the
doesn't work
conceivability
the
of
way
God not
it
existing.
doesn't work the way
We
of
would
the
both
other.
have.
Sorry, it doesn't work the other way around because why would he even argue it the other way
That's
around? If
not
you
my
think that God,
understanding.
sorry,
Anselm
I'm not
argues
done
exactly
talking.
what you're saying.
I'm not done talking. If under your view God is logically and metaphysically necessary, you wouldn't need a fucking conceivability argument, you fucking
That's
idiot.
what Anselm argues, and you know that. That's what he's saying. The God is
Yeah, but he's
possible.
wrong. He's
Well, he's
wrong,
not
right?
talking.
He's
Look at what
wrong
you're
because obviously
arguing. Look at what you're
his
arguing.
assumption his assumption is that God is the greatest conceivable being, right? Or a being that which nothing greater can be conceived. Now, if you can show that the term
That's your
God
argument.
isn't a rigid designator, sorry, if you can show that the term God isn't a rigid designator for that concept of a greatest conceivable being, then those terms wouldn't be analytically identical. What the fuck do you think that these types of arguments are? That these types of conceivability arguments are? Is there a
Yeah,
response
that's
to
what I'm trying
that?
to say. You're trying to do like a reverse Anselm
No, it's not
ontological argument,
reverse.
and it falls
You
flat on its face.
idiot. It's not even in the same format as an ontological argument. It's a conceivability argument. Read the fucking literature first before you come here shooting your fucking mouth
Yeah,
off.
I just reject your premise.
Yeah,
You
great, and
haven't
I reject
established
it.
it. You
For the
haven't
for the fucking
specified.
11th
Sorry,
time.
sorry, and I
And not
reject.
only so,
I
not
sorry,
only so,
sorry, sorry,
I
sorry. Shut up,
I can
shut
say
up,
the
shut
same
up.
thing in reverse. It
Shut up.
doesn't
Is
make it
someone gonna shut
sound.
this asshole up? Someone gonna shut this asshole
I
up?
just
Yeah, and I
expose your
reject that
argument
anything
as
else. Look,
logically fallacious.
look, I reject that you're anything other than a pea zombie. So who cares, right? What I reject or accept. You are asked to give an argument as to why atheism is inconceivable, and you failed, right? Mission failed. We'll get them
No, I
next
didn't.
time.
Like I
Right?
said, I can conceive of God existing in the absence of contradictions it is possible, and therefore God exists. I mean, your stupid argument
Yeah.
in reverse.
When Chalmers writes his conceivability argument against physicalism, that it's obvious that argument was responding to the modal ontological argument for physicalism, obviously, right? Because that's obviously what happened. Just shut the fuck up, John Lee. Just fuck your wife, go do something, take care of your kids. Why are you 14 hours on Clubhouse just spewing this garbage, right, for all these people to hear?
I
Just
just
shut the
exposed the
fuck up.
absurdity of your
Just
argument
shut
by
up.
simply
Just
changing the
just
variable,
go
changing the
home.
p. Yeah, all I did was just change the p in your argument of, I can
Just
conceive of
shut
God
up. Just
existing
shut
rather
up.
than I can conceive of God not existing,
Just shut
and
up.
it comes out to the same
Is someone gonna mute him? Is someone
conclusion
gonna mute? Is
that
someone gonna
renders
mute?
your
Is someone gonna
argument
mute this
absurd.
utter camel?
It's a
No,
Is
you got to
someone
reductio.
gonna
wear it
mute
now.
this utter camel? Thank you.
Oh boy.
It's a reductio of your argument.
This is just whoever wants the last word. I love it. I'm dying, bro.
May the fold be with you.
In a possible world, this conversation isn't
Yeah.
happening.
Anyone else?
Yeah, you got folded like a chair, John. Caught with your pants down.
Yeah, may the fold be with you.
Yeah.
I can even tell you where the fold occurred. Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, where his own argument was rendered absurd by changing the p to God. I can conceive of God existing. That's where it is.
So, yeah, you were asked about if you could conceive of a square circle by Benna, and then you said no because it entails a contradiction. And then we went right back to God. We asked, well, can you conceive of not God? And then you just stuttered. And
I
then
can
kill
conceive of
screen.
God. So where's the problem here?
No, not God.
No, I can conceive of God. Right?
Look,
And you're gonna say that I
what did
can't
I
conceive
tell
of God?
you? What did I tell you
Doesn't help.
before? If you just think that God is logically necessary, why the fuck would you give a
We're not
conceivability
even
argument?
talking about
Oh, I
necessary.
need a fucking
We're talking about
I need a
conception.
fucking conceivability.
Okay?
I need a fucking conceivability
I can
argument for
conceive
why
of God.
bachelors are unmarried. I need a conceivability for bachelors being
Well, I can
unmarried.
conceive of God. I don't agree. Just because someone claims to be able to conceive of squared circles doesn't necessarily mean that they've established that they can conceive of squared circles. When you say I can conceive of no God, I hear you saying gobbledygook that you can conceive of squared circles. Just because you claim it does not establish it to be the case.
Oh, so you're not a modal monist now. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, but you said that the conceivability is going to be in virtue of there not being a contradiction. Right?
Yes, I can conceive
so
of God.
Right, because there's no contradiction.
Right, and then look at the conclusion. God exists.
Right, so what's
I'm just saying
the contradiction?
That's not the argument.
argument's worthless.
That's not even the argument. It's not I can conceive of it, therefore it exists. You fucking retard.
Fucking retard. Conceivability just entails possibility, not that it
You can
fucking
run down the
exists.
same
You
argument with a different
Oh
P.
my god.
Conceivability, possibility, existence, or non-existence.
Yeah, the reverse argument is going to be that it's possible that God exists, right? But you have to also accept that it's possible that a necessary being doesn't exist, right?
Well,
thus demonstrating the ridiculousness of that syllogism.
It's not a fucking look. First of all, I mean, you're just wrong, right? It's not even a reverse ontological argument. It's just a conceivability argument.
It just questions the soundness
right?
of
Those
your
aren't the
conclusion.
same fucking thing.
That's all it does. I never claimed it wasn't valid. I'm claiming that you have not established the soundness of it.
You're saying that it hasn't been established that there's no contradiction?
The very same thing is that
I would rather debate
when you
I would
try to
rather debate.
appeal
You
to
can't
the
even
lack
answer
of a
because you're so
contradiction.
scared.
No,
You're
this is
like,
the thing. When you claim to justify your thing based upon a lack of contradiction, the very same thing can be stated for the premise of conceiving that God exists based upon a lack of contradiction. Anyone can make a baseless claim like that, even in the reverse. Doesn't
well, then how do you
establish
justify
the
Chalmers,
when you
conclusion to
say,
be
Chalmers.
That's
Wait,
justified.
wait,
not
wait,
the.
wait,
That's
wait,
not. There's
wait, wait.
nothing.
Chalmers, didn't you know that I could conceive of P zombies not existing? Right? Therefore, physicalism is true. Didn't you fucking know that, Chalmers? Just, John Lee, just shut up.
Dude, you've been folded like a chair, dude, and you're
Just
in
talk about
denial. You're
soteriology.
literally in
Just
objection?
talk
denial.
about your domain.
I've never seen someone unhinged because they're in such denial and cognitive dissonance.
Wait, before Detroit leaves, um, what do you think about? Yeah, I mean, you said that conceivability entails possibility, but like, there hasn't there been like a lot of arguments against that
Well,
about like
yeah.
like you can
So,
conceive of go box conjecture, right? But it's not necessarily possible. Or some people say it's conceivable but impossible, right?
yeah, but that's if that well. Yeah, there's like a divide between people who think that prima facie conceivability entails possibility, which is Chalmers' view, the modal monist view. The modal dualist is going to say that, like exactly what you said. Usually, the example is that you can imagine a world where water isn't synthetically identical to H2O, but nevertheless, it's metaphysically impossible that water isn't H2O, right? So now the arguments I take it that the arguments that Kripke and the other modal dualists rely on presuppose like one or two things. They're going to presuppose this view of a posteriori necessities that modal monists, I mean, in principle, they aren't even arguing, right, for an a posteriori necessity. When they say that it's conceivable that P zombies exist, they're saying that um, it's conceptually possible that the claim P zombies don't exist isn't analytically true, right? So the identity relation that the monists are considered with is analytic, whereas the modal dualists they tend to put more focus with synthetic identities, right? Or just identity relations that have to deal with facts about the world rather than facts about the fixed meanings of words. Does that make sense? That's the divide.
Uh,
I'm
I mean, yeah, for the most part, I think I see what you're saying, but yeah, I think it's going to have to do with I don't know, what was the isn't there like a primary and secondary possibility or something like that?
well, primary and secondary intention, I think, is what you're trying to get at there. That has to do with like two-dimensional semantics and those kinds of things, which I mean I could be like Detroyer and drone on about for 40
Wait, this
minutes, but I
isn't
don't want to bore
Detroyer?
you. Well, Detroyer, but with steroids, just Detroyer on a really bad day.
Yes.
Detroyer plus Jack plus Venus, pretty much.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I had to add in the female PFP, but that's basically the idea. Now, John Lee is so dumb that he thought that it was the reverse ontological argument, right? When it's just a
Yeah, that's what it
conceivability.
seemed to me.
It's a conceivability argument against theism. It's not a modal ontological argument.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's what it seemed to me. It seemed like a reverse Anselm is what it looked like.
I don't think the reversed ones are any good. Why would I use that? Why would I use those arguments? It would just be better to just tackle this from a modal rationalist view.
So this is what you guys do. The level of sophistry you guys
How is that
brainstorm, and
level of
this is what you guys
look?
come
How
up
is
with.
that the level of sophistry? All you do here is beg the question: multiple times for your views. The same thing is with your buddy Khalil. Well, I mean, now we got to call him something else. Um, Kid Lalula, right? That's a better word, or a name. Um, all he says is that God can't be deceived because he's omniscient, when the argument concludes that omniscience is impossible. So he just says that God can't be deceived because he's
Wait a
omniscient.
minute. Wait a minute.
He's
He's an open theist. You know
presupposing
that.
that it's
He's
not
an open theist.
impossible
You know
for
that,
God to
right?
be omniscient. You realize that, right?
You know he's an open theist, right?
Why the fuck does that matter? What?
Because you're talking about omniscience.
Yeah, but oh my god. When did I say, look, any view of omniscience that you hold to, the argument is contending against, right? So if you want to define omniscience as knowing all true propositions, right? But in the set of all true propositions, you don't have future tense propositions for whatever reason, then the argument is going to attack that. Just saying you're an open theist, what does that do? Are you kidding me?
Well, I mean, I don't know how you could be omniscient and be an open theist or believe that God is omniscient.
Thank you for again reporting your psychological state while not giving an argument for that psychological state. You should come on
So,
Matt Delahanty's show because he also is like you, because he also engages in this little game of I'm not convinced.
I don't really
We
play
are
that
made for
game.
each other.
The only time I play that game, if it's even a game, is
Maybe,
when I say I like the
maybe
belief that atheists exist.
maybe you two should get together because obviously you put more attention onto him than you do to your actual wife, right? So why not ask Matt out for a date on his show, right?
No, I think
Just call in as an
I
atheist.
think Tom Rabbit is trying to put the narrative that I'm obsessed with Matt Dillahunty and that I'm butthurt by him. But that, I mean that's a whole other story altogether.
Yeah,
I don't
you
know
are. You
if
are
you're even
both of
aware of
those.
this.
No, that's
I
correct.
don't even know if you're aware of this propaganda campaign.
Yeah, you are both of those things.
Yeah, looks like a bandwagon fallacy. Nice.
John, have you ever worked at the circus?
No, I haven't.
Surprising.
Are you on the meta again?
Darth, are you? Somebody told me that you're in like your early 20s. Is that right?
Wait, holy shit, I can't hear anything. What was that?
Somebody told me that you're in your early 20s. Is that right?
I'm 22.
Oh yeah.
You know,
How?
Converse. Someone told me that Darth is a philosophical prodigy. To get that one.
What?
Well, I was just gonna ask how.
Who
How are
is?
you such a big nerd at
Yeah,
22?
someone called you a philosophical prodigy.
Where?
Now, I'm not going to expose the person, but
Oh, so
I'm
you're
just
like
saying that
Khalil. You're
someone
like
said that
Khalil.
about you.
Yeah, you're like Khalil. You make something, ooh, this guy said this. And then when someone asks you, okay, what's the empiric for that? Oh, I'm not gonna tell you what it is.
What's the argument for that?
That Darth is a philosophical prodigy. I can maybe give you some reasons that was given to me.
Joke. No, but Darth, you seem pretty well studied on at least philosophy. To be so young, like, why are you such a nerd so early? Is it just something you're interested in? I guess.
He's interested in poning theists. That's his motivation. He's
No,
a
because
motivated reasoner.
no, that's actually not true. There's other things that you could pwn in philosophy, like physicalists. But yeah, I was interested in philosophy since I was like 18, I would say.
Oh, okay, yeah. See, I wish I would have got into philosophy much earlier, but
I mean, I
I
wish
did not.
too. It's only been 4 years. I
So
mean,
you so you
the
debate physics?
last time. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, you debate physicalists? You said?
Yeah, I also debate the philosophy of mind. Been debating that more lately. Since all the theists, I mean, on Clubhouse have been, pwned. It's time to pwn other people, right? And
Yeah.
I just in general, look, I just in general find the philosophy of religion to be very low tier. There isn't much to chew on. Whereas the other arguments against physicalism, I just find to be a little bit more, um, let's say, esoteric in nature.
Yeah.
So,
But would you? So I had on Danny to debate T Jump on physicalism. It was pretty. It was a pretty good discussion. That'd be a good discussion to hear you talk to Tom Jump about that. Have you talked to him before?
Well, T jump is a waste of time, right? I would debate him, right? But I mean, someone has to like put the $50 forth, because I'm definitely not putting the $50 for that waste
What,
of
you have to
time.
pay him?
Yeah, you have to pay him.
No, I.
yeah, I was gonna put up $50 for Randall Rouser versus T Jump.
Mm,
Who?
I don't think that would be that great.
Randall Rouser, some Canadian guy, I thought was really worth watching. I would have paid to see it
Hey,
again.
Detroiter, who took your There's somebody in the audience that took your picture. Some guy named Friction. Is that copyrighted?
But yeah, I was listening to some of
Yo,
those arguments with regard to Cartesian scenarios, and I don't know why they think that it has to apply to human mind has to apply to like a mind of God. I
Oh
still
no.
haven't heard it,
Oh
but
dear.
that's a whole different story.
the argument
I
doesn't
wasn't
say anything
involved too
about
much in
human
those
minds.
discussions.
I'm not really a fan of the argument, but it doesn't say anything about, that it's talking about human minds or something.
Wait,
It's just,
is this Yuri?
So is the
yes,
philosophy
it
of
is.
the mind deal with all minds, like even like the mind of a chimpanzee, or how does this philosophy of the mind go? Is it talking about what kind of mind? I'm imagining it's talking about the human mind, is it not, Troy?
I'm back.
Yeah, I just don't see how the philosophy of the mind or any type of these, theories of knowledge, the theories of truth, how all of this even applies to, uh, like a god. It just, it seems to me it's more examining like human consciousness and,
It
and,
doesn't. That's the. Oh my god. But why do I even try?
yeah,
Right.
listen,
You're just trolling.
I could be ignorant. I'm just saying that's what it seems to me. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Darth. I heard you make a seemings argument a couple of times. I'm wondering. I often hear people reject like seemings, right? Like it's hard
Yeah,
for me
of
to understand
course.
what seemings.
Yeah. Well, the point with me bringing that up, me bringing phenomenal conservatism up, is that he wanted to claim he was running under the assumption that I couldn't. He was running under the assumption that if I just claimed that I had an intuition that God doesn't exist, that wouldn't form as justification, right? And he was also making the claim that presumably that was incoherent. So I was trying to adopt that position to see if he could adequately critique it. Now, of course, he failed, and I think that all presuppositionalists fail, right, on that regard, because